Okay, good morning, all of you. Now we are going to start off with a story named as Salvatore. I hope I have already sent you the details of the chapter Salvatore. That means I have sent you the text because I guess you all don't have the books with you. Now, before that, I would like to tell you or explain you one thing specifically, that when we talk about a story, or whenever, like earlier when you were studying story books or your stories, you were studying treasure trove or whatever it was, there you were not mentioning anything about the author or who the author is and everything. You were not at all mentioning all those things. But now from class 11th onwards, it will become compulsory for you all that you ought to mention something about that is about the author. And basically what you will mention is, you will not be mentioning about when he was born or when he died or what all works he has done. Specifically in boards, when a child is writing about the author, the child only needs to write about the name of the author, well, that is William Somerset Maugham. Now you will be writing it in proper, without any kind of like grammatical errors or spelling errors, specifically spelling errors. And then you will also tell about the fact that what the author has played what was his role in the story, or what has he acted in the story, she has acted in the story, or what role do we find of the author here in the story. Like in every chapter, as soon as your chapter starts, just before the chapter you are given a page in which introduction of the author is given. Now you will find always that you have a last passage, the last paragraph you will get over there, where you will get at least something which is written about the author and which will tell you that this is the role of the author over here in this story. Moreover, you also will have your workbooks where in the introduction part it is mentioned in the last paragraph of the introduction part only, that what role has the author played in the story or poem or whatever it is. So you'll be writing always. Keep this in mind, you will be getting marks for this. Every time you will write about when you write an answer related to a story or a poem, you will have to mention about the author. The first 4, 5, 6 lines must be about the author and his role and in the story or in the poem. What has he acted, what was his use over there, and all those things. So here it is mentioned also over here, the short story Salvatore apparently is a narrative about the life of a young Italian fisherman. Now there was actually an Italian fisherman, and this story is all about that person only, that was named as Salvatore. Now if you talk about the literal meaning of the word Salvatore in itself, it actually means savior. Okay. So here you will find that there was actually an Italian fisherman, and he was named as Salvatore, and his disappointment in love is actually a masterly character sketch of the protagonist. Now what you will find is that there came a phase in his life also that he was quite very disappointed as far as his love was concerned, and you will get to know what all things happened with him in his life in this story. So this is a kind of an introductory line which you can write while you are writing an answer related to a story. You'll also tell about what he was acting over here. Was he himself acting as a narrator, or he was actually himself acting as a character in the story? Whatever it is, you will have to write it in the answer. Okay. Now soon after that we will start with the story. Now if you talk about the story in itself, I've already sent you the snap of the story. Now when you talk about the story Salvatore, it is the first line only says, I wonder if I can do it. Now who is I over here? I over here is the author. Okay. Now here it has been said in the terms of the fact that the author is himself wondering for the fact that whether he will be able to describe and moreover explain the character well or not. That means whether he'll be able to properly justify with the character or not. So that is why he says, I wonder if I can do it. Now you can say that here actually the story in itself begins with the narrator just thinking about the fact that whether he will be able to describe the character well or not. Now here it's written, I wonder if I can do it. That means he is actually starting to say, the author is actually starting to say by saying that he is wondering if he could do it, and now should he tell it to you, that means to the readers, okay, so as to make them understand the things well. Okay, so this is what the initial starting of the story starts, your story initially starts with. Now here that is the author says, I wonder if I can do it. That means the story Salvatore by William Somerset Maugham begins abruptly with the line, that is, I wonder whether I'll be able to do it. Basically here the writer is doubtful whether he can hold the attention of the readers for a few pages when he is narrating the story of Salvatore or not. Basic thing is this. That is why he was saying that whether he'll be able to do it or not. Then it is written here, I knew Salvatore first. Now he is saying over here that he was knowing Salvatore first when he was a boy of 15 with a pleasant face, a laughing mouth and carefree eyes. Now he is actually describing Salvatore as an Italian fisherman, trying to tell the fact that Salvatore was a boy. That means he is describing this character when he knew this character from the age of 15, when he was actually a boy of 15 years of age, with a pleasant face, a laughing mouth and a carefree eye. That means he had a very pleasant face, and a laughing mouth here refers to, that means he actually had always a happy look on his face. A laughing mouth here refers to a happy look on his face, and carefree eyes here refers to that he was absolutely all the time carefree. Now carefree here refers to, that is, he was actually a very jolly kind of happy-go-lucky kind of a person who was actually not tensed about anything or any kind of things in his life. That is why it's written here, a young and carefree Salvatore. It's said about him also that he was actually said to be a very young, carefree kind of a person. Okay, so when you looked at his eyes only, one can easily make out that he was not very tensed about anything in his life. He was all the time easy with everything good with him. It's not that everything which was going on in his life was all the time good only. He also, as a human being, had to face many difficulties also, and many things which brought him sadness also. But then too, he was absolutely a carefree boy. That means he thought or accepted life the way it came in front of him, and he never complained about it. He had no complaints about anything that was coming in his life. Fine. Then it is written, he used to spend the morning lying about the beach with next to nothing on, and his brown body was as thin as rail. Now what he used to do is, he used to spend his morning lying on the sea beach, and he used to and if you talk about the appearance of his body, it has been so told over here that he was having a brown body and as thin as a rail. That means he was very thin to look at. That means he was not a very hefty kind of a person. He was quite very thin to look at. So he used to mostly spend his time, because he was actually an Italian fisherman, so he used to spend most of his time around the beach only. And then he was just like a jolly kind of a kid with a pleasant face and a laughing mouth. He used to just enjoy the time over there. And then it's been said now that this boy's body was as thin as a rail. That shows that he was actually so very, very thin. That means he was not a very hefty or a very strong kind of a person when you look at him. So he used to be there in the beach only. He was full of grace. Now the basic thing that is told over here about him is that when you look at his face, he was absolutely full of grace. That means he was so very, very, his face was attractive, means it was actually not carrying, we are not talking about the outer beauty here. Basically, the word grace here refers to the inner beauty which was present in his heart. So that is why it has been said that he was full of grace. He was in and out of the sea all the time, swimming with the clumsy, effortless stroke common to the fisher boys. Now, he used to be there in the sea only, and he was all the time in and out in the sea. Here refers to that he was all the time he used to spend his days swimming in the sea all the time, and moreover it's written that all the time and swimming with the clumsy, effortless. Now here effortless means you can say that he was so used to this process of swimming, or he was so very used to this swimming and all, that he used to swim effortlessly in the water without any kind, as if it never looked as if he was putting in a lot of effort to swim in the water. So it's written here, he used to spend his morning lying on the sea beach and used to swim effortlessly in the sea, where it's effortless stroke is written common to the fishermen, and which was very very common for the fishermen boys at that time, because they had their life, their life started over there in the sea only, near the sea only, and so they were actually absolutely used to those kind of that kind of atmosphere. Okay, so this ends your first passage.